Welcome back, everybody. This is the Green Arrow back here again. So just want to go over a few things here in earnings and what we had today, why it's impactful, and what it means for the long haul for us Nikola investors. I do want to mention one thing. We are seeing here in the SPAC growth stock arena a great sifting out, a great separation of those stocks and those companies that will make it, that will follow through with their trajectory and will see their destiny through. And we will have those companies and those stocks which unfortunately will not make it. We've seen just this week Romeo, which was struggling by all means and natures and metrics, become acquired by Nikola. Now, that was a natural evolutionary process that was good, which we wanted to see on Nikola's part. And I think that's going to be a great collaboration being absorbed under the umbrella of Nikola. But we saw Lucid, which cut its projections by a good portion, almost half. And even today, one of probably in the hydrogen space for competition, we saw Hyzon down almost 40% in after hours because they had to, cut their projections and guidance because of some kind of appropriations in their accounting and their books. And so we're literally seeing these SPACs, these growth stocks struggling. And, I went to ACT Expo and I talked to Craig Knight in person for probably 20 minutes. I got the feel that they just didn't have what it took or what it's going to take to succeed. Again, I know there's some Hyzon bulls out there, but, I just got that mom and pop, very slapped together SPAC feel from them. When you went to the Nikola booth, it was all energy. It was quick, smart staff, very calculated and in depth on their knowledge of what they were doing. They had that vision and grit. And again, that was just a subjective feeling. But not to go too far off on this tangent, but we're going to see a great sifting out here in the next year or two with the companies that will survive, even in the hydrogen space, right? We see Hyzon, down 40%, cutting projections, having to not make their earnings report for August 15th. Wall Street is not going to look lightly on that. They won't. And it's going to be a struggle for them. I think they were down to 270 in after hours. So we're going to see a great shakeout in the market here. So hold on tight. And, if you have conviction in the stock that you hold, if you've done your due diligence and research, if you've gone out and you know what you hold, then hold it, right? Hold it faithfully and keep adding if you want to. But there will be a great shakeout here. Secondly, just recently, Cinema from Arizona, they just agreed on the Inflation Reduction Act and came to terms, so there will be a vote on that this weekend. So that is almost 99.9% likely that is going to pass. And as Mark Russell said on CNBC today, he said this will be a huge tailwind for us. We know that it will, right? Kim Brady's been ultimate giddy about this. Once this passes, especially with the announcements of these three dispensary partners, we already had TA America, right, in Ontario. That one was that we already knew about. That was just kind of a re-announcement of it. But we also have the one in Colton and the one in Long Beach that just was announced. Now, keep in mind, excuse me, guys, I got kind of cold here. But keep in mind, those three are centrally, strategically placed around Covenant, TTSI, and Biaggi Brothers. That is a main metric here in Southern California where they're almost 20, 30 miles apart, right? You have to understand, in the San Bernardino Inland Empire area, you have an immense amount of warehouses and companies with warehouses down there. Excuse me. And those areas are a mega house for shipping, for trucking, for shipping goods, and especially out of the port of Long Beach. So those are strategic locations that are going to be put there as almost a hyper growth of what we want to see with fuel cell, right? You're not going to put it off some random place out in Oklahoma, right? You want it in a central hub, especially in California, where we're intense on hydrogen, clean fuel, and renewable energy. So that was a huge announcement that we're going to see, which I had a 99% good word that was going to be taking place, and that we're also going to be receiving here soon good word on hydrogen infrastructure production with TC Energy. So let's go over some of these earnings here. So Nikola did produce 50 Nikola trays. All right. So their projection was that 50, 60 to 70. But they delivered 48, right? $18 million revenue. Beat expectations, okay? Now, what we did see, though, that there were some additional incurred costs that caught my ear and probably your ears, right? A huge one was the shipping costs, right? They were doing freight airline shipping, and Kim Brady even said, we need to move this down to more overseas shipping, right? And we're working on getting these costs down. But Nikola had to keep in mind weighing the balance between, okay, shipping costs or meeting our guaranteed milestones, which is going to look worse, right? Wall Street's more going to forgive supply chain, shipping costs. You know, it costed more than you maybe predicted for certain shipping, and you can work with that. They weren't going to forgive saying, well, you know, we wanted to hold off until shipping costs got lower and the supply chain, so we're going to do it next quarter and we're going to do the 50 next quarter. No, they were going to stand for that. So Nikola had to meet its metrics on that, which it did. It delivered 48. Those were revenue, okay? A huge one also, which I think is very beneficial, which was kind of more so under the radar of what we've seen, is the uptime on these trucks, right? A lot of the trolls, and I use trolls, right? I don't know what else to call them, trolls, right? I mean, they're just naysayers. They have a huge antithesis towards anything Nikola does, right? And they're constantly, well, let's move the goalpost, like, we get it, right? So they're moving the goalpost, but literally they're like, well, this isn't a good uptime. This is 94%. Why isn't 100%, right? Like, I'm not a trucker, right? But I know some truckers, and what they've told me is, look, a 94% uptime is freaking incredible. Like, that is huge, right? Like, Nikola released a video on their Twitter today, and it was from TTSI testing one of their Alpha fuel cell trucks. And it didn't show the face, but it was probably some sort of high up executive or one of the top management. And he's saying, these Alpha trucks, these aren't even production trucks. These are just Alpha trucks. These Alpha trucks have higher uptime. They're more reliable than any diesel truck we've bought in the past 24 months. So you're telling me 80 to 90 to 100 years of engineering trying to get these internal combustion engine trucks perfected couldn't outlast an Alpha truck from a scam? Oh, come on. Like, you cannot put away and not make the argument that Nikola is hammering a good, technologically advanced, innovative product. Like, you just can't say that, because you're hearing from veterans in the industry that do this 24/7 that are saying, look, stand back. We got emotional when it arrived. We saw it. Because you know why? These trucks are outperforming. This is the future. And these Alpha trucks that we're still trying to work out, right? Christian and Jason Roy has said over and over, like, we're still working the kinks out. These are just Alpha. Remember Sandy Monroe when he pulled up to Nikola? How his freaking mind blew up? Because he was like, holy moly, these are advanced alpha trucks, which they are because they're based off the BEVs. There are a lot of the same components in engineering, right? So you have veterans in the industry. This happened with the TTSI truck, right? With the BEV, when they're interviewing him and says, look, we have electric trucks that pull up and, right, I don't want to name names, maybe it was the Freightliner, maybe Volvo, maybe whoever, right? And after like 7 days, these trucks are falling apart, right? The Nikola truck has been up all the time. It goes out with an 80% state of charge. We run it for 10 hours, and it comes back at like a 50% state of charge, and we've already ran it for 10 hours. And they just keep on going and going and going. These are workhorses. You have to understand, these are Iveco trucks, literally legacy trucks, right? This isn't like they're trying to build this like components from the ground up. And they say over and over, like 9,500 of these parts like have been like true and tested, right? Yeah, we're bringing in the e-axle and the batteries, right? But like this is true and tested. So like Nikola is going to have amazing trucks. They are being strong and they are being durable in the field. So when you see a 94% uptime with TTSI, Univar Solutions, Covenant Logistics, Road One IKEA, Benor Logistics, a lot of them are having 100% uptime. These fleets are going back and they're in the boardrooms and they're saying, look, okay, we got to make the decision. Who are we going to be buying, right? And they're going to be talking. They're saying, okay, yeah, sure. Let's not go off feelings. It's a pretty truck, whatever. Let's look at the metrics. Okay, this truck. Okay, this truck. Oh my gosh, Nikola's truck stayed up this amount of time and it's ready for production. Wait, we can get it? Oh, let's not even mind the Inflation Reduction Act that's about to be passed and we get $40,000 for the truck, right? And if it's a fuel cell truck, right, then Nikola's getting a huge amount of hydrogen production credits off of that. So let's not mind that. Yes, they're going to be buying, they're going to be placing orders, right? Like we know Walmart wants to go hydrogen, right? They already placed huge orders with Plug for forklifts, Canoe for their EVs for like 45. They're leading the way. So that 94% uptime. No longer is it just a pretty truck. No longer is it just we wanted to go green. No longer is it like, okay, we're being whipped there by legislation. It's like, this makes sense for total cost of ownership. Like, I don't care ICE or fuel cell or BEV. Like, this just makes sense on a dollar cost average. And that's what the companies are going to chase, right? They're going to chase the dollar cost average. They're going to chase the money, right? Because it's not a feeling-based decision when you're buying a Tesla. When you're buying a truck, it's like, I don't care. This is a robot. Like, I just need a tool to make me money, right? And then, mind you, I can have an awesome brain power behind it, like we saw in the other Twitter video where it's like they can do the safety checks from it. They can know exactly, like, if they're driving under a bridge and their truck's too much weight. Like, you don't understand if you can guarantee a business a product that's better, and you already know that you're going to have to go there through legislation, and in California here it's going to be by 2025. Like, you're going to make the change and jump, and the government's saying now with the Inflation Reduction Act, like, we want to go there. We're going to help you, right? So having that 94% uptime is no longer just TTSI saying it. It's all around the board, right? You're having a collective, collaborative, unifying voice of these fleets saying, yeah, it does stay up that amount of time. Yeah, it's an awesome truck, right? We can't deny that anymore. So another one that I kind of want to bounce back to is the Iveco European joint venture, right? We've kind of been waiting on to hear about, like, what's happening out in Ulm, like what's happening with the European line, right? Like, there's a lot happening out there with fuel cell and BEV. What's happening out there? And so we got an update, right? We're seeing that there had to be some kind of adjustments made to the base to make sure that it was compliant with the EU versus here in the States. You know, we allow a little bit different for the base on their trucks. So what we're going to be seeing here is one, I like I said, they expanded their 50 European JV to include engineering and product development. So this is kind of what's happening when people team up with Nikola, right? They're saying, wow, you're a value add company, right? You're an asset to us. Let's make this work. And Iveco really sees the writing on the wall that, you know what? They need to jump up and they need to start, and they want that Nikola startup speed. And so what we're going to have, during the second quarter, the JV entity began building the first EU Tre BEV Alphas. Production for the EU Tre BEV is expected to commence in the second half of 2023. And shortly after, which we know because it's going to be available, the FCEV Betas, which are expected to begin production in the first half of 2024. So I listened back on, I think it was one of the investor presentations that Kim Brady spoke of. And so it says, when we do the European with Iveco, we're putting a 5% markup on these trucks, right? So there's a 50-50, but then there's a 5% markup that literally is going to be marked up that Nikola gets all from, right? So no longer is 50-50, but there's a 5% markup. The EU and the whole European market for the Nikola Tre is so underrated right now. You have to understand, Nikola has its hands in so many different multiple money streams right now, right? Okay? The EU market, right? And that's just for the trucks. Then you have the fuel cell or the hydrogen to provide for those trucks, which the money comes, right? And then you have in the States, you have the BEV, right? And then you have the hydrogen infrastructure, owning those molecules. And then you have the lease maintenance package. I mean, if Nikola can nail this correctly, which it sounds like we're going to be having some pretty good funding here coming in with our new stock raise, with different lines of liquidity that we're aiming for, like, we're going to be able to hammer all those revenue streams. And what I also like is, like, Nikola doesn't just like, oh, we're going full on here, and you don't hear about anything from 2 years from one portion. Like, you see updates and you're knowing what's taking place, and they're actively working on each part, right? They're actively working in Ulm. They're actively working on their hydrogen infrastructure here in the States. They're actively working in their BEV. They're not letting things go to the wayside. Like, I love you, Hyzon, but I don't. But literally, you guys had an agreement with TC Energy to produce like 1/5 of what you were going to do with Nikola, with TC Energy, right? I think it was more of a PR stunt. But, like, you haven't heard of anything about it since then, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Put it down in the comments if I am. But, like, you haven't heard anything. They haven't put any weight into any hydrogen infrastructure, right? Like, we're just going to build our trucks and the infrastructure is going to be there. Like, Nikola knows that's not going to be the case, right? So there's multiple streams of income that's going to be flowing down into Nikola. And over this next year or 2 years, as we see this great shakeout taking place, we will see, and you see the sentiment on Twitter and these different platforms where people are starting to take Nikola more serious each quarter, and they are. Until soon, it's like you can no longer use your 2020, like, how many times can you say the downhill joke, like, well, is the factory going to be downhill from the factory, and is that how they're going to deliver the trucks? Like, come on, like, 2020 wants its joke back. Like, it's not funny anymore, right? Like, get into reality. Like, this is happening. This is the future. Great. Do whatever you want, but be left behind, okay? So this is what we're seeing. So we got an update in Europe, and it's awesome. So we're seeing that. We're still on target for the 300 to 500 trucks. Keep in mind, Kim Brady did say that might be on the lower end of the 300, right? Partly because Romeo was down for a good portion of 2 to 3 weeks, right? And so kind of put a hiccup there. So they're going to be doing all they can, but there is going to be some shifting over to Romeo that I think it might put a little bit of kind of an absorption acquisition growing pains, right? Whatever you may call it. as they kind of inherit Romeo and they kind of make those shifts, right? Like Kim Brady said on Monday when he was talking about the Romeo acquisition that like, yeah, we've already identified like a crap load of inefficiencies, right? And yeah, I know they're saying right now, like, we're going to keep all 400 employees. Like, I can't see them keeping all 400 employees. They might, right? They're not going to be keeping maybe top executives, maybe, I don't know. But I'm just saying I think just smart, they're going to streamline some of that down and say, like, what's the most important to us, right? You're probably going to rid of some of your sales reps or customer reps, whatever. You might not need those because you're having it all in-house now. But they're going to streamline some of that. But the fact of the matter is you're going to see this great shakeout, right? You're going to see this great shakeout, and you're seeing it, right? Highs on down with 40. I don't even want to see what it's going to be in the morning. They might be 50%. It was at 270 all-time low, right? But if you can't make your earnings report, right, and if you can't make your, if you got to chop down your guidance for all of 2022, I mean, oh, man, especially with what's happening in China now and you're a Chinese company, I wish you luck, but this is a tough space, right? The free market's a tough place to be in. So, when you see these people saying, well, man, Nikola's next, it's like they won't be. You know why? Because they've learned. They've learned. And you know what? As much as we hate it, it was probably maybe good that they had to go through a little Trevor Milton growing pain. And it sucks having to pay that $13 million freaking legal bill, right? I want that to be done with. That's annoying, right? We can all agree. But you can't say that, they're squeaky clean now. They are. They had to pay $125 million to the SEC. They do not want to go there again, right? Sometimes you literally have to scrape up your knee and not wear a helmet to get your head broken to finally say, hey, let's wear the helmet now, all right? Let's protect ourselves, right? So they're doing everything right. And that's what I like to see. They are on fire. They don't care, right? I was talking to the director of the BEV. We've seen him in all of the driving change videos, and he's over the BEV program, and he says, you know what, I was talking to him about like everything Trevor Milton at ACT Expo, and he's like, you know what we've just learned here at Nikola is you got the steak, and everyone can watch, and you just let them hear you sizzle. Pretty much meaning like, hey, people are going to say what they want, but you can't deny when the steak is sizzling and it smells good. Everyone's going to want to come, everyone's going to want a piece of it, and they're going to hear and smell it. And he says, that's what we're doing here. We're putting our heads down, we're staying quiet, and we're letting our actions speak louder than our words, right? We're gonna change the world, and you feel that. You feel that energy with Nikola. I'm impressed with their management, impressed with their executive. I love the Russell and Brady combo. I think they're a powerhouse. And I think, I'm confident they're going to be able to lead us through this next year to 2 years. So, kind of following up, I don't want to keep this video long. I think I'm already at 23 minutes. But this was a good earnings report, right? This market's tough that we're in. This is an unforgiving growth stock SPAC market. People are fed up with SPACs, right? And you know what? You see all these SPACs that made these huge promises, right? And they don't deliver, and they have to cut forecasts, and they're running out of cash. So, like, any trip up and the market will punish you. It's going to punish you. But you know what? Nikola has been performing. They're hitting their milestones, and yes, they got roads and they got mountains ahead of them, but from what I'm seeing and what I'm confident with, and with this new equity raise, I have more conviction now than I have had at any time with Nikola, especially with where the carrot and stick's moving with legislation. That's just a fact of the matter, because by this time next year, we're going to be wrapping up shop on these 3 hydrogen dispensaries. We're going to be producing, hopefully, hydrogen, and we're going to be shipping it down to California from a hub and spoke model. I think they said, again, correct me in the comments, I don't have it in front of me, but I think by next year we're going to be having the offtake for the Wabash agreement. And we're still going to be getting credits there, even though it's not green hydrogen, guys. So we are there. We are hitting that finish line. Look at what the analysts, not like I care what the analysts say all the time, but the sentiment is changing, right? And no longer can you really use the CGI. It's fake, right? That's what all the trolls on Twitter want to use. Don't want to name specifics because they know who they are, right? But that's what they'll say, like, well, the CGI, let's break down the numbers now. Like, the numbers might not happen and the cash flow might run out. It's like, yeah, sure, that might happen with any company, of course, right? But Wall Street wants to see revenue with a high growth company like this, right? They want to see, like, are you making market capture rate? Are you capturing the market, right? Like, how much of the market are you capturing? How far ahead of you from competitors? And is there demand for your product? And yes, there is for Nikola all around. So that's what we're seeing all around. So anyhow, this is going to be huge. I'm excited for what Nikola's doing. I think they're nailing. I think this is an opportunity that can't be missed. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see them hitting those milestones, okay? Yes, we know that there's going to have to be some costs that come down, right? Yes, we know that Nikola's doing all they can by acquiring Romeo and making sure they can. Yeah, LG, that sucks. It looks like the percentage is up on the LG batteries and stuff. But, like, look, Nikola's fusing that out with the Romeo plant. They're coming together. They're always staying one step ahead, okay? And we're going to see huge, huge growth in Nikola in this end of this year into 2023. So any last little highlights that I want to go over here is their Arizona manufacturing facility update. They're ramping up production. We expect to increase our throughput to 5 units per shift by November of this year, which, like I said, Kim Brady said for the second half of the year, they're going to be upping that, right? To get to that 300. Everyone's like, whoa, well, how they only got 30 trucks out there are they going to be doing? Or you have these, like, literally bozos, like, they just don't get it, or maybe they just want to be that way. They're like, oh man, so, like, all the trucks are just sitting at the dealers, and what are they doing, and, like, why are they just sitting at the dealers? It's like, look, that's the whole model, right? Like, the dealers are buying it. Like, I thought we all understood they have a dealer network, right? And, like, dealers buy it and they sell it, right? Or there's already some contracts through TTSI where they've bought it through the dealers. Like, we understand that, like, right? Like, it's not, like, again, it's just chasing that tail. So, anyways, awesome earnings. I just want to go over one more thing. So for the business outlook, this is what we're to expect. We remain on track to achieve the following milestones in 2022. Deliver 300 to 500 production tray BEVs. Kim Brady said that might be the lower end, so don't expect 500. If it's great, awesome, high five everybody. But it might be lower to the 300. Pilot testing's here with Anheuser-Busch. I think Anheuser-Busch and the Biaggi brothers are getting excited about this, right? You're probably like, oh man, you saw everything falling apart with Hindenburg, right? Oh, we'll just hang on, right? What do we got to lose, right? If they deliver, they deliver. But I think it's getting exciting for them now. I really do. I think they're excited and they're saying, holy crap, guys, like, Nikola's going to deliver. We're getting a fuel cell truck, and, like, the government's on board now, and there's a shift in climate. Like, we're doing this, right? These are forward-looking companies that want to make change, right? And so we're going to see this. We're going to see the big companies pop on, like Walmart and Anheuser-Busch, right? And hopefully Pepsi, right? Drop Tesla. We're going to see this, and then slowly the smaller fleets are going to have to make the change, right? They will, right? I think the smaller fleets, are like these mom and pop fleets, they're going to hold on to their diesel as long as possible, right? They have slower margins, more thin margins they work with, fewer cash flow, right? They got huge assets that they buy, and they're a huge part of their company, right? So build, validate, and test the Tray FCEV beta trucks. We're going to be seeing a lot more of that. That's the most exciting part, is these FCEV. Announce location, break ground, and commence construction of the first hydrogen production hub in Arizona. Mark Russell said today on the earnings report, he said that's going to happen soon. He said pretty much after earnings report, we're going to hear that. So we're going to be hearing that super, super, super soon, right? Announce the location, break ground, and commence construction of the first hydrogen production hub in Arizona. So these are going to be happening literally at the same time, right? You're going to have the production hub in Arizona doing green hydrogen. You're going to have these 3 dispensing locations in literally the heart of Southern California, where you have a lot of these warehouses and these truckings and this transportation with goods. Like, it's the heart of it in this strategic location. They put it right in the right place, right? So, and that's going to be a model as it spreads out to other parts of California, to the west, and even to the Midwest, right? This is a model, right? They're starting, again, Nikola's the pioneers in this. They're starting out. And you know what happens when you're the pioneers, you're the first to market? You become the household name. You become the brand. You become the leader. And it's so much harder for those behind you to make any stance or any grounds. And that's where Nikola's at. They have the lead, guys. They do. Tell me who else, please. Especially, I mean, BEV, they have the lead in range and production right now, ability, capacity. But FCEV, literally tell me. I'm waiting. Comments? No one. No one. Like, they're leading it. Hyzon doesn't. I mean, Hyzon, I don't know if they're going to last longer, right? This is looking bad. But, like, who? I mean, Volvar, Daimler, I mean, they're years out, right? And you have these new ones from, like, Too Simple, the leader, like, breaking off and starting another. Like, you have some off ones that, like, but, like, literally, who's serious? Who's actually solving the chicken and the egg? No one. Nikola, right? They are the leaders, right? Announced 2 or more dispensing station partners in California. So we're going to hear more dispensing station partners, right? And again, the hub and spoke, it's going to be off-taked in Arizona, brought down to California, right? I don't know if any of these are going to have on-site production. I don't think that's what has been mentioned. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's going to be Arizona off-take, bringing into California. There's going to be huge credits, okay? And how that's going to work through the SPV, right, special purpose vehicle, I don't know. I think we'll hear more on that. But at the end of the day, is Nikola will have those molecules and how that will kind of work out with partnership. But again, they don't want to go heavy with having the brick and mortar, right? A lot of that's going to be through partnerships, and they've been clear on that, and that is super wise, right? So everyone, for me, awesome earnings. Beautiful earnings, just what we wanted, just what we expected, right? Nikola is solving the cash problem. They're solving the liquidity problem. They are getting all their ducks in line. And especially with this 200 million share authorization, that just created a bunch of cushion. Good cushion for them. That's going to clear a whole lot of runway. And hopefully we hit $8 here, depending on what the market does. But if we're in a small little transitory kind of recession here, inflation starts to come down, the market starts to go up, Nikola's going to be popping up right with that. Especially if we have more announcements here coming up, and if we have more strategic announcements, right? If not, then it might just hover in that 7 to 8. They might raise a little there, might do it higher, whatever the case is. Awesome earnings. Nikola is ahead. They're doing what they said they're going to do, and they're hitting their milestones. Have conviction, have heart. If you're an investor, you know this. If not, sell, go, right? But if you have heart, if you have conviction, you know this, and you're on board, and you're in for the long haul, right? Great, sell in 1 year at 15, right? Or sell, hopefully, like I said, if you're a long-term, 5 years, right? That's where I think it's going to, if everything aligns, it's going to be that 5-year, 10-year mark, right? Everyone, thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate it. I know we went at 32 minutes here, but it was good stuff today. A lot out there. Nikola is doing what they say they're going to do. Have full trust in the management and team going forward. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. If there's anything I missed, put it in the comments, right? Let's have a discussion there. Put what you heard. Put what you liked in there. Put any forecasts, right? Anything that you think was notable. Hit the like button, right? Hit subscribe to my one little channel here. Just putting content out, nothing serious. Love talking about Nikola. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. See ya.